the notion that someone that you married for a few years has rights to a decade or decades or even a lifetime of your future income is absolutely absurd to me, given
Sure.
that men and women are equal under the, the guise of,
Totally.
feminism today.
Let's talk about that hypergamy. I basically sit here in my life and go, I'm fucked. Like, what do I do? Right? If a woman dates lateral and up and a man dates, or sorry, a woman dates lateral and up and a man dates sort of lateral and down when it comes to success and finances, status, and a woman is intelligent, that hurts her, earning, intelligence, whatever. Like, what do I do?
I'll tell guys in honesty that you're in a better position to marry a woman that's on the same par as you, if not higher, right? Because that almost removes most of the risk of losing your nest egg and any future income. My ex-wife's a lawyer, she's very successful. So that really wasn't a huge issue as far as, nest egg and division of assets. It was more dealing with, the child custody issue because we've got a daughter. But for women that, like I assume that you've done well in life, you've raced cars. I don't know, what the total record is, although I am a huge car enthusiast, but I don't watch a lot of car racing. I don't, it's weird because I love driving supercars, but I don't like watching other people drive supercars. I don't find it as interesting as driving them myself.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I don't watch that much racing, but now that I do more commentating and I'm a host I do a little bit for F1, NASCAR and IndyCar. I obviously keep up with everything, but
yeah. I really find the job they did on the Netflix series, Drive to Survive, really good on the Formula One thing. But setting that aside, it's got to be difficult for you if you're a successful woman to find a guy and get into a long-term relationship, because the thing with successful older guys is like men peak a little bit later on in life than women do, right? Like men reach their sexual market peak in their late 30s. And the thing that women don't like is they peak in their early 20s. And that's just an unfortunate reality of the sexes. And it's always been that way. Men have always been success objects to women, and women have always been beauty objects to men. So men tend to date younger women.
Go into peak, though? What does peak mean?
Well, men are valued based on their competency skills, what they can do, like that little dent that they can put in the universe sort of thing. Whereas men don't usually care about women's degrees. They don't usually show a lot of interest in their degrees on the wall, framed in mahogany with little letters after the name sort of thing. It's grand and it's noble and all that sort of stuff, but there's no guy that ever said, oh yeah, look at the degree on her, right? Guys will look at a woman and say, look at whatever on her, she's walking away sort of thing. That's how men operate. They're visual in the sense that they see women as beauty objects, and they've always been treated as beauty objects, even though society tries to change that today.
So peak then for women's appearance is early 20s.
Value, actually. It's
value.
Yeah, it's actually based on a lot of. I'm trying
to understand what the peak is, and if peak is fertility is peak, money is peak, beauty is what's the peak?
Well, that's the definition that they're trying to change today, right? Because women have valued men based on what they can bring to the table, right? Like what resources they have available to them to provide and preside over the family and the children and protect and all that sort of stuff. Women's value has historically always been around their beauty and their fertility. When they survey cross-culturally across all continents, all religions, and they show a lineup of every man from 18 to like 75, I think the survey was done under, a lineup of women from all ages, all the way up to 75 from 20, they universally almost all pick about 22, 23-year-old women, as far as like beauty standards. So that's just the way that society has always operated. So as a beautiful, attractive woman, maybe, such as yourself, that's also had a successful career, that's competent, influential on social media, does commentating, let's say on racing events and stuff like that. There's not a lot of guys that are like, oh my God, she's, her voice or her commentary on that program is so valuable to me. What guys look at is the beauty aspect of a woman, right? Like that's why women wear makeup, dye their hair, wear push-up bras and accentuate, their body curves and their lines with things like heels and stuff like that. As much as society wants to change that today and say things like you're beautiful at any weight, like that's one of the big lies that I think that feminism tells women is you're beautiful at any size. It's just not true, right? There are standards that men are drawn to when it comes to beauty, and obesity is not one of them.
It's not healthy either. Like
It's not
I mean,
healthy. Like I wouldn't want to invite a woman that's obese and diabetic into my life. I don't want to deal with that. There's a Evo psychologist. His name's Dr. Warren Farrell. He's written several books. I think one of the ones that stood out was The Myth of Male Power, and he's done a few others like The Boy Crisis and things like that. And one of the observations that he made over his career, like decades of studying all this material, is basically that you can distill it down to that men are success objects and women are beauty objects, and that's how the sexes view each other.
do you think that's right?
Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. That's just how we've always viewed each other throughout history.
I don't know. I mean, I think we don't grow and evolve without a discussion, without changes. So it would imply that there's nothing wrong with anything and that there's no need to grow and evolve. And, I think that, I don't know, I think that there's still a discussion around that. Is that the right thing? Is that right? Because I think that, when we expand on that and we go into like value, I think I saw something that you had written that said, like, if you took sex out of the relationship, 90% of women would have nothing to offer.
Yeah. And if you took money out of the relationship, then 90% of men would have nothing to offer women.
Explain that.
That's actually something that I came across in comedy, believe it or not. I get a lot of my material from comedy that I, summarize in my videos and my social media. So if men lost their status, their success, the wealth, their influence, their competency in society, then 90% of women probably wouldn't stay with those guys. Like the reason why women generally leave relationships and marriages, and women leave marriages 80% of the time. It's not generally men that leave marriages. It's generally women that leave. And when women leave, it's because they feel like they can do better with another guy, right? This guy that I'm married to, that I've had my 2.1 kids in the white picket fence and the station wagon, he just sits around and watches sports all day. He's put on 150 pounds. He can't keep a job down. He doesn't even know how to change a light bulb. I have to call my dad to come over and take care of stuff like that. These are the sorts of things that women don't want to deal with, right? So when I speak to men, I'm constantly telling them chase excellence, right? Like you can't let your guard down. You can't retire. You cannot stop, pursuing passion. You cannot stop putting a dent in the universe, because if your wife, your woman, your girlfriend wakes up in the morning and she looks at you and thinks to herself, I'm stuck with a loser, there's a good chance she's probably going to leave, because marriage isn't forever anymore. The knot is untied all the time. We're not particularly good as a species at monogamy. So that's where that notion comes from. And on the flip side of the coin, I mean, if a woman is like 90% of guys would leave relationships if sex was removed from the equation. If his wife or his girlfriend all of a sudden announced and said, look, I'm just going to become celibate. I've gotten right with God. I don't want to have sex anymore. I'm going to become, the Virgin Mary, whatever. He's going to be like, that's interesting, because the reason why I'm here is for access to easy, frequent, and, amazing sex. That's why guys get married.
That's it?
That's the main reason why guys get married. Believe it or not, they think that when they see, the biggest complaint that guys have when they get married, if you take a look at their Google search history, is they start looking up words like, why doesn't my wife want to bang me? Why doesn't my wife want to have sex with me? How do I get my wife to have sex with me? Could you imagine being married as a man and you're Google searching, how do I get my wife to have sex with me? There's a lot of marriages out there that are completely sexless, right? So when you remove sex from the equation, and the sad part of it is a lot of guys, they won't change that. They'll just resort to something like pornography. So they won't leave the relationship. They won't end the marriage. It's generally not to their advantage to do that, because they'll lose so much. So they'll just stay.
Lose what?
Could be wealth, could be future wealth, could be access to their kids. It depends. Could be all those things.
So you're saying there's nothing else that a woman offers if it isn't sex? They don't offer comfort. They don't offer safety. They don't offer companionship. They don't offer taking care of things. They don't offer planning nice things for someone. They don't offer cooking or cleaning or
I didn't say that.
Like anything like that.
No, I didn't say that. But women don't offer safety to me. I offer safety to women. Yeah, but all the other stuff you're talking about, comfort, companionship, love, all that sort of stuff, of course. But the main reason why men get into relationships with women is for sex.
What areas of value is it that you believe a woman has to be more than sex?
Well, I have greater standards than just sex, right? Like I have a girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
She's got great culinary skills. She's fun to be around. We laugh, we joke, we have similar interests. Like I like cycling, so we go for bike rides a lot in the summertime. So it's beyond just sex, but the main reason why men mate select a woman is because of sexual intimacy. That's just the way, like, that's why we're here on the earth, to scatter seed, right? We're not here to build skyscrapers and roads and drive electric cars. We're here to scatter seeds. Like, that's our biological imperative.
What do you think about the idea that the world is overpopulated? Do you believe in that, or do you believe it's not getting populated enough?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the stuff you hear in mainstream media, there's just so much of it that I really question now, especially since the scamdemic and that, that game they pulled on us a few years ago. It seems pretty obvious to me when I'm on a flight and I look out the window, the amount of barren land there is out there that we don't occupy. So I don't really buy this, this notion that we're overpopulating the earth, at this stage of the game. When I'm on a flight and look at the window and there's humans everywhere, like ants, then I'll say, okay, maybe we have a problem, but it seems like it's not really an issue. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I don't think so either. I think that, women are getting married later. They're having kids later. They're not having as many. I don't think couples are having as many kids as they used to. They're not needed for farming and taking care of the property and various different things that I think that in many, many decades ago was probably more important. I think that fertility is probably down in general across the board, but especially in men, testosterone is definitely down a large degree. You probably know more about that statistic than I do.
It's brutal.
So I don't think that it's driving the numbers up. I think it's
if you want to go down the rabbit hole on things like testosterone, I can blow your mind on that one too.
I'd love it. Blow my mind. If you like this clip and you want to hear the whole episode, click at the bottom of your screen.